Good morning, everyone, and welcome to United Way for Southeastern Michigan's virtual town hall. My name is Dr. Dershawn Brown, and today we will be joined by Avazeh Attari and Erica Luce from the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, LEO, to discuss the Futures for Frontliners program. The last 10 minutes of today's town hall are reserved for questions and answers. So please leave your questions in the Q&A box if you're watching via Zoom or in the comment box on Facebook. Now I would like to welcome United Way's President and CEO, Dr. Darian Hudson, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Dershawn, now Dr. Brown. And thank you everyone for joining us again for our virtual town hall. Today we're talking about something that's very personal for many of us, something that is still very, very relevant, and that's about our frontline workers. Every day, during the height of the pandemic, and now as we're seeing a resurgence, we have a number of Michiganders who are working in essential positions, who are putting their health on the line every day for our community. They keep our shelves stocked, our hospitals running, and our communities safe. As a thank you to these heroes, our governor, Gretchen Whitmer, launched the Futures for Frontliners program, which provides free tuition for essential workers without college degrees or high school diplomas. To discuss this new program, we are excited to be joined today by Avazeh Attari, a Data and Policy Fellow for the University of Michigan's Youth Policy Lab, which is placed within the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity, and Erica Luce, the Manager of the Office of Adult Education within the Michigan Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. But before I turn it over to them, I wanted to share a little bit about their backgrounds. Avazeh holds a Master's in Public Administration and Development Practice from Columbia University and a BA in Anthropology from the University of Central Florida. She has worked with a number of NGOs in the US, Tanzania, and Myanmar, and the US Peace Corps in Madagascar. Erica has over 17 years of experience in workforce development, with the majority of the time being working on initiatives and efforts to increase access to services for adult learners. Erica graduated with honors from Michigan State University with a BA in economics. Both Avazeh and Erica are helping spearhead the Futures for Frontliners program to ensure a very successful first year. And please know that at United Way, we're behind you all the way, and we'll do everything we can to support you. So without further ado, I am very pleased to turn it over to our guests. Please join me in welcoming Avazeh and Erica.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to talk about Futures for Frontliners with you all today. I'm going to kick us off with an overview, and then Erica will continue the presentation. Let me just share my screen really quickly if I can get this up and running. Okay, great. So as was already mentioned, Futures for Frontliners is a new state scholarship program for frontline workers without college degrees who worked in essential industries during our state shutdown. It provides them with tuition-free access to community college to pursue an associate degree or industry-recognized certificate. Now, one of the governor's ambitious goals is to address the skills gap within our state and increase the number of Michiganders with post-secondary credentials from 45% to 60% by 2030. Last year, her top legislative item was Michigan Reconnect, which is a similar scholarship program for Michiganders 25. Reconnect was passed with strong bipartisan support last year, but all funding for new programs had to be repurposed to address more immediate needs when the COVID-19 epidemic hit. So it's been on pause in the meantime. Now, the governor had one-time federal funds related to COVID-19 that the legislature authorized her to appropriate. So to show gratitude to our frontline workers, she proposed this program, which will also help us take a step towards this 60 by 30 goal that we have in our state. Now, on our website, in the frequently asked questions section, we have a question addressing, what's an essential industry or frontline worker, where we list the essential industries there, and each of them are hyperlinked with some additional information too, so please check that out, and I'll give you the website link in a moment. But for some examples for frontline workers, which were already given in great examples, folks who staffed our grocery stores and restaurants, they provided waste management services, manufactured personal protective equipment, operated public transport, or provided critical police or fire services. These are just some of the examples of individuals who Their job required them to work outside of their home during our state shutdown and helped keep our state continuing to function while many of us had to stay at home. Now, this scholarship program offers 2 pathways to community college, depending on where the frontline worker is in their life right now. We call it Path 1 and Path 2. Path 1 is for frontline workers who already have their high school diploma or equivalent and are ready to jump into community college. And Path 2 is for frontline workers who maybe still need to complete their high school diploma or equivalent. They need some completion courses or skills training, either before they while they are dually enrolled or before they go to community college. So Erica's going to talk a little bit more about that. Path 2 is actually managed separately by her office. So I touched on a few of these already when I was talking about the program, but to sum up the overall eligibility requirements for the scholarship program, an applicant must be a Michigan resident and eligible for federal aid. They must have worked in an essential industry at least half of the time. That's an average of at least 20 hours a week for 11 of the 13 weeks between April 1 to June 30, 2020. That was our state shutdown time. And you must have been required by your job to work outside of the home at least some of that time. Maybe you were in your office every day or on site every day. Maybe you were outside just a few days a week meeting with clients. It just depends on the certain circumstances. You can't have previously earned an associate or bachelor's degree, and you can't be in default on a federal student loan. And of course, you have to complete a future scholarship application by 11:59 p.m. on December 31 of this year. I mentioned this earlier, we have a website already up and running. It's been going since our program launch day, which was September 10, when the governor officially launched the program. You can visit our website, michigan.gov/frontliners. You'll need access to the internet, an email address, and a social security number to apply. Now there's separate application links for each of the pathways. For Path 1, it's under the Community College tab. For Path 2, it's under the High School Completion tab. But all the information should be on the website, so please check it out and see which one applies to you. I mentioned earlier that the deadline to apply is December 31 because you must begin classes in 2021, excuse me. The deadline for both of the applications is at the end of this year because this is a one-time program, and scholarship recipients will need to begin classes in 2021, as I mentioned, to utilize the award. The applications are about 10 minutes or less, so hopefully it shouldn't be too daunting. I wanted to also give an application snapshot. Right now, we're about a month and a half in since launch day, and we've had over 70,000 applications, which is pretty wild. That's for both of the pathways total. We're seeing a bit of a gender gap right now. We've got about close to 70% of individuals who identify as women who've applied, and a little over 30% who identify as men who've applied. For each of the pathways, we provided some racial and ethnicity breakdowns as well. For Path 1, there's about 60% of the applicants are white Caucasian, 25% are Black African American, 5% Latinx Hispanic, 1% Asian, and for Path 2, we've got 42% white Caucasian, 42% Black African American, 6% Latinx Hispanic, and 1% Asian. So I'm just going to quickly run us through Path 1 before Erica talks about Path 2. I mentioned earlier, Path 1 is for frontline workers who already have their high school diploma or equivalent, or who anticipate getting it by the scholarship deadline, December 31 of this year. So step 1 is to complete the scholarship application. Once you do that, you'll receive a confirmation email after you've submitted it. And then 7 to 10 business days later, we'll email you again to let you know if we've accepted your application or if we need more information to determine your eligibility. If we need more information, it's likely because we didn't have any wage record data for you. Maybe you were self-employed or paid in cash or a temp or contract worker. So we'll ask you to complete a 1-page employment verification form with your employer and return it back to us. Now for Path 1, we're working really closely with Treasury on this program to build out our application and handle the scholarship payment process. So when you fill out the scholarship application, you'll create a username and password, and that's for the Michigan Student Scholarships and Grants. It's called the MySSG Student Portal. We did that also so you can check your application status. There's links in the PowerPoint slides, so we can share that later too. Now, once your scholarship's been accepted, you'll still need a couple more steps in front of you to be able to receive your award. You'll need to apply to and be admitted to a Michigan public community college. Apply for federal aid by submitting a FAFSA, which is a free application for federal student aid, and enroll in classes at least half-time in 2021. So for this pathway, we've created a college checklist. This is on our website. It's a resource to help applicants keep track of all these steps and to receive some guidance on how to complete them as well. The checklist can be viewed directly on our website, but can also be downloaded and printed. So like any scholarship, Treasury will be working directly with the colleges to handle the tuition payment process. So scholarship is last dollar. This means that the Pell Grant and any tuition restricted scholarships or awards, excluding TIP, will be applied first before Futures for Frontliners funding. So if you have any non-tuition restricted gift aid or awards, so some sort of scholarship or a grant that doesn't have to be applied to tuition, that won't be subtracted from your tuition bill. You can use that for paying for books and other expenses that people might have to go back to school. I mentioned earlier, Futures for Frontliners covers tuition, mandatory fees, and contact hours. So the cost of attending community college will depend on whether you're attending local community college, and that's where you're considered in district. So scholarship recipients who are not in district for any of the community colleges, or you choose to go to a community college out of district, you'll have to pay that in district, out of district tuition rate. That's a great question for the community colleges about what kind of opportunities there are for other funds and other scholarships that can help you cover that difference. Erica?
All right. Thank you, Ava, and just wanted to say thank you again to Dr. Brown and Dr. Hudson for the invitation to speak to you today, and also for the warm welcome. It absolutely is a pleasure to be here, especially to speak about Path 2, the Path to Community College for those frontline workers that do not have a high school diploma or equivalent. As Ava shared some of the data and a tremendous response that we've seen so far to the Futures for Frontliners program, about 3,000 of those that have applied are to Path 2. So we're absolutely still trying to get the word out to those that may be eligible. So happy to share a little bit more information with you today. So the process to apply for the scholarship, as Ava mentioned, it's very similar for Path 2. The only difference is, as she mentioned, that you'd be clicking on the high school completion tab on the website. The application, we tried to make it as simple and streamlined as possible. It should take about 10 minutes to complete. And again, the applicant is asked to provide their name and contact information, specifically their email address, because that's how we'll be contacting them. As well as your date of birth and social security number. I point out those two pieces because to be eligible for Path 2 for frontline workers, the individual does have to be 18 years of age and not currently enrolled in high school. So we do require the date of birth to verify their age. The social security number also is required to validate their work experience as a frontline worker. And so we do a data match process with the unemployment insurance wage records. As Ava mentioned, if we are not able to verify the employer or the applicant's work experience, we will send an email requiring the employment verification form to be completed. Again, the form looks identical to the Path 1 form, although there'll be a portion at the top for the applicant to complete, and then the second part is for the employer to complete to verify their work experience. The only difference in the form is where you're sending the completed form. So the form for Path 1 applicants will be sent to Treasury, and Treasury's contact information is on the form. For Path 2, that form would be sent to our office. And once we are able to verify that an applicant is eligible and meets all of the requirements, the next step is for them to enroll in a state-approved adult education program. And so that means that the program receives state and/or federal funding from our office. We do have, if you're not sure which programs are in your area, we do have on the website a program locator to help assist you to find the program nearest you. You can begin classes then at any point during calendar year 2021. We get the question a lot, what if I'm already in adult education and working on my high school diploma or equivalent? And that is great. There's no requirement that you can't already be enrolled. So you absolutely are still eligible, and please make sure to apply. As Ava mentioned, I think it's really important to note as well that students can be dually enrolled in adult education and also a community college or job training program when they're on Path 2, or they can complete the program sequentially. So while both services are part of Path 2, we do understand, especially if individuals are working or juggling a family, it can be a lot to do both at the same time. So we do offer the flexibility for a student to complete their high school diploma or equivalent and then go on to a community college or job training program. And as I just touched on, I think it's really important to make sure everyone is clear on Path 2 for high school completion. The scholarship funding covers a multitude of services, as you see here. It's the high school completion and equivalency preparation classes, so help you earn that secondary diploma. There'll also be included career advising and navigation. So if you're not sure what job training program or what community college or what career you're interested in, there will be advisors to help assist you in that process and to make the best decision for your skills and abilities and career interests. If you choose to obtain your high school equivalency, those testing fees will be covered for you. And then making sure to understand that it is both the high school completion and preparation as well as the scholarship to a community college or job training program. So again, you can do those at the same time, or once you get your high school diploma or equivalent, then go on to the community college or job training program. So as I mentioned, for Path 2 does have an option for community college or job training. So I just wanted to share with you, once you earn your high school diploma or equivalent, or as you're working on that, there are a few different training options that are available under the Futures for Frontliners program. So enrollment at and working on an associate degree program at any public community college. There are also two other options, and those are highlighted in green, that are just specific to Path 2 participants. They may participate in a training opportunity that's available on Michigan Training Connect, or they could take advantage of an adult education, what's called an integrated education and training program, leading to an industry recognized credential. And that's where your adult education instruction is integrated with an occupational training program. So at the end of that program, you would have both a high school diploma or equivalency and an industry recognized credential. So on Path 2, participants can take advantage of one of these three options, leading to an industry recognized credential or an associate's degree. So I know that was a very quick overview of both Path 1 and Path 2. We have our information here. If you have any further questions, definitely encourage you to check out our website. The links are on the screen, and we will be happy to send out this presentation to anyone that would like it. But there's a lot of great information on our website, and we're trying to keep it updated, and it's changing. So please check back if you have any further questions, but happy to entertain questions at this point as well.
Great. Thank you all so very much, Ava and Erica. Thank you both so very much. And thank you, Governor Whitmer, for such an awesome program for our frontliners. What an amazing program. So we are going to begin our Q&A now. Again, if you have not asked your questions in the chat box on Facebook or on Zoom, please put them in there and we will be sure to share them with our guests today. And I'm going to start with the first question. It says, why is this not available for nurses who have worked in front lines during COVID who wish to move up? Are there...
Yeah, that's a great question. I can take a stab at that, Erica, if you don't mind. So when the governor first discussed setting up the program in April, she raised the possibility of including scholarships for those wanting to complete a four-year degree or wanting to move past that. Now, the program was the lack of funds to be able to do all of those things. And the decision was made to focus first on those without college degrees, since it's much harder to get a good job with only a high school diploma. So the governor's hope is that, when the state's finances recover, funds can be found to help those who maybe already have an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree and want to continue their education further. And I know that's not a great answer and probably doesn't make you feel any better, but it's the best we can do at a time when so many folks are out of work and the state revenues are so down.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Ava. This Q&A box is filled with questions, so this is a great topic today.
Great.
The question is, my company provides online GED, college readiness, career and technical skills training with credentialing. How do I become a training provider?
Sure, and I can answer that. So for the adult education programs, it would have to be one that already receives, whether it's state section 107 funding or under WIOA Title II Adult Education and Family Literacy Act. Those two funding streams are administered by our department. So those would be the eligible adult education providers. As for any of the training providers, they would have to be on the eligible training provider list, and that's the list of providers and training opportunities that are available on the Michigan Training Connect. And so for more information on that, you can go to the mytalent.org website.
Okay, great. Are frontliners eligible to collect unemployment during training?
Yeah, and Ava, I don't think that we have any requirements as far as their work experience or the benefits that they're collecting. So absolutely, if there's a frontliner that's collecting unemployment insurance, that they would still be eligible for the scholarship, assuming that they met all the other eligibility criteria.
Yep, great answer.
Okay, thank you. Next question is if you don't qualify for financial aid, can you still qualify?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So you have to be eligible for federal aid. So that means that you have to be able to be considered for, you have to meet the requirements of selective service, U.S. citizen and non-eligible citizenship. The list is on the federal website for the FAFSA. But if you, for instance, don't get any sort of financial aid because of, you don't get the Pell Grant due to income, that's okay. Futures for Frontliners will still cover you. But you still have to be eligible for federal aid to be eligible for Futures for Frontliners.
Okay. Here's another question related to financial aid. Do we need additional financial aid with this program?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Do we need additional financial aid with this program?
That's a great question. So I think, it's a last dollar program. So the way that it works is that you have to be eligible for federal aid. If you made too much money, or if your parents made too much money, if you're dependent on them, that's okay. Futures for Frontliners will still cover you. It covers all of the in-district tuition, contact hours, and mandatory fees. It could depend on the way that if you're out of district, it could depend on some of the other program fees that are not covered by the program that the community college has specific to them. I think those are great questions for the community college themselves to see which program you're looking at and how that financial aid package looks like. So yeah, I would reach out to the community colleges. And actually, if you go on our website, there's a list of colleges page. We have a contact information for each of the colleges that they're specific to Futures for Frontliners. They'll answer your questions about it.
Okay, great. What if I am already enrolled in an associate degree program? Would I still qualify?
Great question. Yeah, so if you don't have your associates already or your bachelor's degree already, and you're in an associate degree program now, and you meet all of the eligibility requirements, you are a frontline worker and all of that, absolutely, you can still get the rest of your associate's degree covered by Futures for Frontline.
Okay, great. Let me make sure that I didn't miss any questions in the Q&A box here. Let's see. Oh, I see one just popped up. I owe money to the community college I want to attend. If I owe money to the community college that I want to attend, can I still apply?
All great questions. Love these. So, you know, our only requirement that we mention about finances is that you can't have an overpayment or default on a federal loan. We don't say anything about the community colleges. So when you apply to the community college, if that's the college you want to attend and you owe money to them, you should talk to the community college about considering a payment plan back with them. But you know, you can still receive Futures for Frontliners. It's just whether or not you can work out a payment plan with the community college that you want to attend.
Okay. And one more question. I feel like I'm still playing catch up with work-life priorities, and I don't think I'll be able or ready to start the next semester. Should I still apply?
That's a great question. And I totally understand that. You know, with Futures for Frontliners, if you're looking to go into Path 1, you can enroll in any of the semesters in 2021. So if you don't have to go straight into winter if you're not ready yet, you know, you can enroll in spring or summer or fall and still be eligible. So that's an option. I wanted to also mention that, you know, with the new state budget, Michigan Reconnect is looking to start next year. So if you're not ready for Futures for Frontliners and you're eligible for Reconnect next year, and you know that seems like a better time for you, that's something to think about too.
Oh, great. That is awesome. Okay, I think we have run out of time for our Q&A session. But again, the deadline to apply is December 31st. As you mentioned, only takes about 10 minutes to apply. I know you mentioned also that you would share the slides because we do have some guests on Facebook interested in the slides. Where can we retrieve those from?
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to send them to you guys if you want to post it, if that works. If there's another way, please let me know. Happy to share it.
Okay, great. Thanks again. As I mentioned, that's all the time that we have for questions today. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Hudson to say a few closing words.
Thank you, and a very special thank you to our guests for being here with us today. I just wanted to add to the last question that was asked about the timing and struggling with work-life priorities. It's never the right time. So I'd strongly encourage you, just go for it. You will be surprised at who raises their hands to help you, what doors start to open for you when people just know that you are on the path and trying to complete a degree. We have a number of programs that are actually available. If you go to our website, we have dozens of these town halls that explain where you can find support for a lot of different things. So don't feel that you're without help. Don't feel that you're without resources, and don't wait. Just go for it. You're talking to somebody who has 4 degrees, and there were a lot of times I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. And I was amazed and blessed by so many people who were just showing up to support me. So I just strongly encourage you to please take advantage of these resources that are available to you. And speaking of resources, we actually still have our 211 24/7 call center that's available to all of you. We also have a website that is available if you go to unitedwayscm.org/211. Any type of needs that you can think of, whether it's utility assistance, rental assistance, access to food pantries, you can call 211 or go to our website and find these resources. Again, you can also go on our website and find links to all of these workforce development resources from Leo that Ava and Erica were talking about today, not only with future the Frontliners program, but also a number of other resources that are available to you. So we strongly encourage you to use them. And then lastly, I just also wanted to share, it's October 21st. We are in the home stretch of our Get Out the Vote efforts. So it is not too late. You can actually vote right now, today. As soon as you get off of this broadcast, you can go to your clerk's office. If you do not have a ballot yet, yes, you can still request your absentee ballot. The website is here for you, https. Oh, I'm not going to say all that. If you guys see that, please go to that link. I don't want to mess it up for people who are listening, but it's so critical. Please take advantage of the opportunity to get that ballot early. There's a huge event when we all vote this weekend at 2:00. It's going to be at 690 Amsterdam Street in Detroit. We'll have food, live music, PPE supplies, and a number of resources, all socially distanced. So it's really critical that everybody gets involved. So you can RSVP at weall.vote/Detroit. So we hope to see you there. And finally, for next week, We are going to be talking about election protection. So are we going to let it go? No, and we hope that you won't either. We're going to have Melanie McElroy from the Voting Rights Expert with Michigan Voice, from Michigan Voice, and she is a voting rights expert. It will be next Wednesday at 10 a.m. You can sign up the same way that we've been telling you before through our town hall alerts at unitedwayscm.org/virtual town halls. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, thank you, Ava and Erica. This was extremely informative. I'm excited. There's so many opportunities for our Michiganders in spite of what's happening around us with the pandemic. So we hope you all will find this helpful. We hope you can access these resources and again, continue to live and stand united. Thank you.
Thank you.